Welcome to the Play Inspire Unite podcast. I'm your host, Ben Rycroft. We're quickly approaching the Ontario Soccer Summit, February 21st to 23rd at Redeemer University in Hamilton. We want to start touching base with some of the speakers as we lead up to the summit. Today, we're going to speak to Kris Van Der Haegen, the Director of Coach Education from the Belgian FA. It's part of the movement that took them from number 66 in the world to number 1 on the men's side, a fantastic accomplishment. And as one of the main architects, he brings a wealth of knowledge to our conference and to the summit as a whole. We're really excited to talk to him here today. He's going to give us some of those nuggets of what we can expect and a little teaser to what we're going to expect at the summit as well. But really quick before we get into it, tickets are now on sale. Great group discounts available for your club, academy, or district. And a reminder that prices go up January 29th. Without further ado, let's jump right into it with Kris Van Der Haegen of the Belgian FA. Kris, I've given the members a rundown of who you are and your accomplishments, but I wonder if we can tell some of those who aren't as familiar with your timeline a little bit about your path to the Belgian FA Director of Coach Education.
To clarify a little bit the pathway I've been through is we have to start in 2008, because that's the moment when I switched from my education job, because I was a language teacher before. This was my main job, but I was a football coach for many years. But in 2008, I switched into full-time job in the Belgian Football Association, and that was working on two different topics. First of all, coach education, which was my main job, and coach education, it's development of coaches. But this is if you want to educate in the best way, you must also do it in the practical side. So it was a combination between running the courses and being coach of the national youth teams. So I started working with the boys teams in 2008 for 4 years, and the last generation I had was the generation with Divock Origi in under 17. Divock, who won the Champions League last year with Liverpool. So then I made the switch. I stopped coaching the boys in 2012 because of my career switch as coach education director. And this took too much time of my job, and I decided to quit for 1 year coaching. So I was focusing on the job of coach education director. But then 1 year later, the director of women's football asked me to give him a hand in women's football. He said, we need the experience from the boys teams. So I started working as head coach of under 19 women's team. And in the next year, I joined the senior team as a main scout for women's football for international games. And in 2017, so 2 years ago, or 1 year and a half ago, the head coach of the women's team, he asked me to make a move as an assistant coach in the senior women's team. That's what I did in 2017. But before I went to the women's team, I also got promoted to head scout of the men's team in Russia at the World Cup. I was a scout of the opposition's team, so I had to do all the games of Brazil, Russia, Croatia, and England, and make a report for Roberto Martinez to help the preparation of the Belgian games against them. So that's a little bit in a nutshell the process I have been through. Working in amateur football before for more than 10 years as a head coach in the 3rd and the 4th league. And then in 2008, making a move into professional football and becoming head of coach education in Belgium. And maybe one point, what was also an important move in my career, is in 2015, I became a member of the JIRA panel at UEFA, which is a member of experts of coach education. And since that year, I'm doing quality control all over Europe. So this gives me a fantastic insight in everything what's happening in all the federations in UEFA and in Europe, and helps me to take out the best of these things to make the best possible coach education pathway in Belgium.
It's quite the winding road you've sort of taken to get to this point, and certainly not the same as Belgium's, which has been quite meteoric over the last generation. Of course, going from 66 in the world to #1, and some will say it's good fortune and unrepeatable, but the truth was this was built from a vision adopted from your neighbors in the Netherlands and what Spain was doing at that time. I wonder if you could share for us how that vision for change has come about and the pillars on which it was built.
So that vision is really crucial, and that's a very good example to be an inspiration for football associations, but not only for football associations, but for management of a club, because I'm really convinced, and it's quite easy to do it, but it's there are some barriers, and the barriers are linked with ego, and in a club or in an association. I give an example. There is a new technical director coming in, and he wants to change everything. So that's not possible in Belgian FA. We have created in the years, so after 2000, so we started working on it for more than 1 year, and in 2001 we had finished the Bible of development for Belgian football, and this cannot be changed. Anybody who comes in Belgian FA as a technical director, and he says, okay, we want to change these things, it's impossible. So it's a main document about vision of development. How can we develop players? How can we develop coaches? What you need to do it, you need time, and that's the big issue. People don't give you time in a club, they don't give you time in a football association, and they want to change, they want to see immediate result. But when you talk about development, immediate result is not possible. So we really have made a plan built upon some pillars for the future, and these pillars from the future, they didn't change in the last 19 years, and this is the most important thing, that if you think very well about this is the way we're going to do it, you must keep consistency and keep doing these right things. We have been fine-tuning them regularly. So after each international big tournament like European Championship, World Championship, we do a fine-tuning to see, okay, are we still on the right path? Do we have to adapt some things? But the main principles, they are still the same. And the main principles, it's linked with player-centered approach. And this is the big coaching switch we made. And this is really the key for success. It's starting to think about development in another way. And a lot of people say, okay, football, it's a team sport. It is a team sport, but you don't have to think about development of the team. And that's what a lot of people do. They always think about, we want to make our team better. And that's a real topic. And the aim is to make your team better, but you only can do it if you focus on the individual. And this switch into individual development, this is what we made 19 years ago, and this is really the key for success.
That maintaining a vision must have been difficult in the early going, because you're starting at where you're at then. And of course, you have people come in and say, we want to do it this way, we want to do it that way. How did you create and keep that alignment in the early days in particular?
That's really important. We didn't say, we want you to do it this way. We created the vision together with all the clubs, with the academy directors of the clubs. So it's not a vision of the Belgian FA. It's a vision made by the whole technical department of the Belgian FA, by the academy directors of the professional clubs, by all the coach educators working in Belgium. So it's really a vision made for Belgian football, for the development of Belgian football. Because when you step in as a football association and you say, this is what we want you to do, it's finished. Because everyone say, no, we want to do it our way. And they have the right, because we didn't want to change DNA of Belgian football clubs. We wanted to create a common football DNA for Belgian football. For what's the best way to develop our players to be successful as a national country, as a national sport. And everybody, it's a win-win situation for everybody. The clubs, they are part of the mission. They are really involved it was a co-creation of a vision of development, and that's the only way you can be successful.
One of your quotes that I really like, which you repeat on occasion, is "player first, ego second." Can you go on to sort of explain, that putting the ego in check in the coaching community is something that you really have to put above all else. Can you expand on that as a philosophy?
In football, it's all about ego. Look at the football stars. They are egos, but they have to play as a team. So if you don't understand that it's all about the individual development, about the individual performance, but they have to collaborate as a team. But they need the focus on the individual because they want to feel valued. They want to feel important, all of them. And that's very important from the very beginning. So you have to put ego in your backpack and starting thinking about the individual in front of you, because it's all about these individuals. The same thing when I'm going to a coaching course. When I'm coming to Toronto, it's all about your coaches. It's not about me. It's all about your coaches. I have to think about what can I bring them? How can I inspire them that they get something out of it to become a better coach? It's all about them. And that's the same in football. If you can't put away the ego in your backpack, you will always struggle. You will always struggle because it's all about the players, the individual players. And that's the big challenge.
Another quote from you: "A good coach is able to keep everyone on board." And that means managing the personalities in the room, breaking down internal walls, building up others. What advice do you give to coaches when it comes to the man management side of the game?
The one-on-one relationship, it's crucial because a lot of, and I will talk about that also on the conference, there are too many coaches who think that football, it's about tactics. There is some part of tactics, of course, but football and coaching, it's a relationship business. It's all about relationship. And that one-on-one relationship, it's crucial. If I don't make the effort to understand every single individual in my team, I will never be able to make them play as a team. There will never be a team performance if I'm not able to get into connection with every single individual. And if you don't make the effort, you will lose players. Players get out of your team because they don't feel valued. They think, oh, I'm not important for the coach. And that's for me the big challenge for coaches. Can you make that connection with every single player? Because they are all different. They are all different. And some people say, yeah, difficult player. No, it's not about difficult player. It's about different players. Do I as a coach, do I want to see the differences? Do I want to accept the differences? Do I want to collaborate with somebody who's thinking in a complete other way? How can we find a way to collaborate together and not just say, oh, it's my way or the highway? And that's also linked with that ego. Do I feel more important than the player? No, you shouldn't feel more important because you have to collaborate. You need them and they need you, but you need them. And if from the moment that the coach can see the game from the eyes of the players, he will have a huge impact on that. If you can't see it from the eyes of the players, there will always be a distance between you and the players, and there will not be successful collaboration.
If we can pivot just for a second from philosophy to something more specific on the technical side, could you discuss a little bit about why Belgium uses the 2v2 game format to develop players? Was the intent that our current game formats are still too large for optimal player development, or is it mainly still mirroring the adult version a little too closely, allowing players to swap in and out of outfield and goalkeeper seamlessly?
This is the last change we made in the playing format and in the development pathway, the last one. Why? Because it's again linked with, it's all about the individual player. So the players in Belgium now, they start playing at 5 years old. So a lot of people who work with these kids, they make them play. They say, okay, we play, the smallest format we have is 5 against 5. Okay, we make them play 5 against 5. We reduce space, and what you get then, I call it the honey football. So you have one ball, all these kids around the ball, they are attracted by the ball. Some of them, they never touch the ball. They just run after the ball. They don't learn anything. They don't learn anything. So what we did is, starting from the individual, who is in front of me? That boy or that girl, 5 years old. What are they able to do? What do they want to do? They want to do one thing. Have the ball and score a goal. Do they want to pass the ball one to another? No, they don't want to pass the ball. They are egocentric. They just want to score a goal. So starting from this situation and this analysis, you say, okay, let's create the best development environment. Let's create the best playing environment, which is 1v1 and 2 goalkeepers. And this gives us the 2v2 format. And it's all about, we call it dribbling football. It's all about dribbling 1v1, trying to dribble and score the goal. And that's how they start playing football in Belgium. That's how they feel immediately football is about having the ball, about dribbling, and not about passing. Passing is a second option. And that's also one of the big mistakes that coaches make. Around the pitch, you hear all the time, pass the ball, pass the ball, pass the ball. No, when they are small, please, dribble. Let them be creative, let them be free. That's what we did when we were playing it in the street. So this is really a very important change that we made. It had big consequences for the organization, but I will show it also at the conference how we do it. But we have to change the glasses and not look at the game with glasses of adult people, but look at the game with the glasses of the player. And a 5-year-old player, he must play the 5-year-old football format, which is 1v1 and not combination play, because they don't want, when they have the ball, they don't want to pass the ball. So don't make them do things that they don't like, that they don't want to do, and make them play football in a way that they have a lot of ball contact. It's all about scoring, getting the ball, dribbling and scoring. That's what they love. That's how they enjoy it. And that's very important, that the first contact they have with football, it's about dribbling and it's about scoring goals. And that's why they love the game.
If we can put those glasses on for a sec as well and look at some of the older age groups, I wonder if you can speak a little bit about why Belgium had early and late developer teams in the national team programs and the players that both benefited from that. So Lukaku, De Bruyne, and Eden Hazard, to name a few.
The 3 examples that you gave, one of them was involved. So De Bruyne was a late mature player. So when I started in the FA, the first 4 years, I was coach of the future team under 15, under 16, and under 17. I moved with them. So I can give some good examples about that. And I will show some videos and some clips on the conference also about that. We have small numbers. We have only 500,000 football players. So we cannot lose one talented player. What happens between 14 and 18 years old, the difference in maturity has a huge impact on the performance. So what happens a lot is coaches and academy directors, they focus, they see, okay, these are the performers, the early performers. This was Lukaku. Lukaku was a giant at 14 years old. So he has a huge impact on the game and on the result and on the performance. So for him, no problem at all. Everybody saw that he had a huge impact on the game. But then you have the small players, very small, thin players, they are like that. They don't have an impact on the game. Because when they play, for example, like Kevin De Bruyne, who was a number 10 offensive midfielder, he played against a strong defensive midfielder. You didn't see him on the pitch because he was so small. Yeah, he had to be very smart, play between the lines, playing one touch, not playing the duel, because they killed him in the duel. But, and that's a big advantage, these late mature players, they develop skills that the other players, the early matures, they don't develop, because they can play in the duel, they have power, they have strength. They don't develop the skills to be between the lines, to play one touches. So, in one way, it's an advantage to be late mature, because you develop some skills that the others, they don't develop during the pathway of youth academies. But do they have playing opportunity when they are late mature? And then the answer is very clear. No, they didn't have. On the international level, look at the statistics, UEFA under-17 tournaments, the late mature players, they are not in the final selections, in the final squads. So what we decided to do 10 years ago was say, okay, we have the players of our national team who will play the final tournament. And then we have a second team, we call it the future teams of the late mature team. We prepare these players for the future. And you will see on my presentation on the conference, in the semi-final that Belgium played on the World Cup, half of the team is coming off the late, half of the team, the starting players, 5 out of 11 were late mature players in the academies. So this is so important that you give time to the player to get mature enough, to get adult enough to be ready for the battle of senior football. Because senior football, it's a huge step going from the academy to senior football. And some of the players, they are only ready at 20, at 21, and even later. So I give the example of De Bruyne. De Bruyne was a fantastic player. It was a diamond. And in the club, they knew this is really a diamond. But we have to polish the diamond. He needs more time. And he only started playing in the under-19 national team for the first time. Because before, he has the same potential, he had the same talent, but he was not ready for the battle, for the performance, for the physical performance. And that's why we created these future teams. And this has helped a lot to create awareness in the academies in Belgium to say, guys, be patient. Don't make early decisions. They need more time to be ready for adult football.
I could listen to this all day. This is awesome, interesting stuff. And we don't want to give away too much before you get to Ontario Soccer Summit, February 21st to 23rd in Hamilton. But if you could give the people a little bit of a taste of what to expect. I mean, you've already done it here today, sort of alluding to some things. But what can they expect from you at Redeemer Campus in just a few weeks' time?
They can expect from me that I will give them an insight in the whole pathway we have been through. I will give them some advice about how to build the best learning environment, and we knew the best coaching environment, the best teaching environment for the development of players. And of course, the examples will come from the real environment, not from theory, but from what we have experienced in Belgian football. And I'm sure that this can be a very good inspiration for them and have a huge effect or impact on their coaching practice. And that's the most important thing. When I get back home, they should do things in a different way than that they did before I came to the conference. And that's for me visible teaching and visible learning. My teaching should be visible after the conference in the Canadian football.
For those who are on the fence about attending the Ontario Soccer Summit, I wonder if you could give them your 30-second elevator pitch, or what you would say to convince them to come see you in Hamilton in just a few weeks' time.
If they want to see the ingredients of the success of Belgian football, they should be there. It's not a magic recipe, but they can discover which are the ingredients that we used the last 19 years to develop the players to the level that they are today.
Looking forward to it, Kris. Thanks very much for joining us here today, and very much looking forward to connecting with you in a few weeks' time.
Okay, perfect.
As we mentioned off the top, great group discounts available for your community. Make it a road trip, make it a team building event on February 21st to 23rd in Hamilton. Prices go up January 29th, so you're going to want to head over to OntarioSoccer.net right now and get yours. For Kris, I'm Ben. As always, we encourage you to play, inspire,